Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out American Admits 7 Things Brits Do Better, American in the UK.
And you literally have a whole sandwich and the filling are French fries. I mean, does it get better than that? No, it does not.
I don't know. I don't know about that. It seems like a lot of starch, but it might be good.
Hey guys, welcome back to another Girl Gone London video. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin. I'm an American who's lived in the UK for almost 10 years, and today I'm finally admitting things that the Brits do better than the Americans.
Alright.
Okay, so in my last video, which I felt was pretty neutral and just pointing out the differences between the UK and the US, I got some comments of people saying clearly you don't like the UK, you don't want to be here, and I get that a lot, and I think part of it comes down to people not understanding that I'm being lighthearted about how I'm reacting to things in the UK. So I'm just sharing my experiences as an American reacting to certain things. And so obviously that is going to come with some jokes. Sometimes I'm being serious. I do think a US road trip is more fun than a UK road trip. So if we disagree, we disagree. But for the most part, it's lighthearted. I don't think that either country is actually better than the other. I think it's a very gray area. And so I wanted to create these videos where I'm just going to list some of the things that I really feel like they do better here in the UK than in the US, just so everybody knows that I do not hate the UK.
Damn,
however, I
what
am
happened?
also going to do a video of things that the US does better than the UK, so we can argue when we get to that video.
Hey y'all. Hey, we're all human beings. We're in this together. We're really the same. And I think it's fascinating to compare. It's like really there's maybe 16 different personalities in the world, and we're all dropped into the environments we're born into, and it's like you spin a top and you see where it goes, and the culture, the dynamics of like the weather, what crops will grow in the ground, the minerals you find, like natural resources. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm at a loss for words, but we're all human beings. Let's celebrate our differences. It's fun. It's interesting. I already know she's going to say electrical plugs. That's what I'm predicting. Because those UK electrical plugs are brilliant. We need that in America. But for whatever reason, Grandma and Grandpa decided to give us an inferior electrical system. Thanks, Grandma, Grandpa. That's loaded with sarcasm if you didn't get it, Grandma. Anyway, I'm open to this. Let's be lighthearted about it.
Hey guys, briefly interjecting here because I forgot to mention today's question, and today's question is, what is your favorite part about the UK? What is your favorite part about living here? Maybe you're a Brit, maybe you are someone who is an expat here, maybe you're just a visitor and you really like the UK.
I don't have an answer.
Comment below and tell me your favorite part about living here.
The music?
So the first thing, and I've done a whole video about this, is the NHS. The idea here is that medical care is for all, regardless of your ability to pay, and is not a privilege, but a right, is 100% better than the state of affairs in the US, which works for people who do have the means to pay for healthcare, but does not work for a lot of people who fall in different areas. The idea here that you have a child and you walk out of the hospital without paying a bill is really astounding to a lot of Americans. And after moving here and living with the NHS and getting accustomed to that way of life, obviously paying for it in other areas and your taxes and things, but the idea that I don't have to worry about how much the ambulance is going to cost me is 100% something that the UK does much better than the US.
I feel like I want to laugh and I want to cry at the same time. This is like the biggest issue that I have with the United States. People go bankrupt because they get sick. People die because they don't have enough money. It happens all the time. And that's f***ed up. That's really f***ed up. Think about it. In this day and age, it's f***ed up. It's f***ed up. I've heard that to have a baby in the United States at a hospital costs about $10,000. Let's just see. Having a baby in the US, when was this written? 1 year ago. Okay. No insurance, total average hospital bill for a regular birth, $30,000. $30,000. That's a car. No insurance, total average hospital bill with a C-section, $50,000. $50,000. It's pretty messed up. Pretty messed up.
Okay, the next thing is the cost of food in the supermarket slash grocery store. So if you've ever traveled to the US as a Brit, you probably, if you stepped foot in a grocery store, would be shocked by the food prices. Here in the UK, food in the grocery store in particular is so much less expensive than in the US. Something that in the US would cost like $2 to $3 for like a loaf of bread or something would be like 50p to maybe a pound here. So
50 cents for a loaf of bread?
Over and thinking about their budget for food in the UK, usually we spend a lot less than you would in the US. We spend about £200 per month on food for 2 people, and sometimes we do spend less than that. In the US, I really don't think that would get you a month's worth of food for 2 people just because of the prices. In that way, I definitely think the UK is better than the US.
Damn it, y'all. She's right. So I do live in Los Angeles, which is even more expensive than the average American town, city. Okay, there's a Ralph's nearby where I live. For 3 pounds of chicken frozen, it's $11. There's an organic grocery down the street, and it's $10 per chicken breast. Outrageous. Why is it so expensive? We grow the crap down the street from here. Hey.
Okay, the next thing on my list may seem a little bit trivial, but for somebody who loves French fries slash chips, yes, I know they're not the same thing,
sandwich?
British people, I do understand, but as an American, we would call anything that is a fried potato a French fry. We wouldn't differentiate we don't have another word. We would just call it like thick cut French fries, maybe.
No, we have frites. We have hash browns, that's fried. That's tater tots is fried potatoes. Their home fries are fried potatoes. I have to disagree with her on this. Just her terminology.
Maybe. Anyway, here in the UK, I feel like they pair French fries slash chips with so many things that we wouldn't in the US, which I am a total fan of. So for instance, what they would call a chip buddy, translated into American, would be a French fry sandwich.
So weird.
They've got thick cut French fries on a sandwich.
That looks good.
They eat it with ketchup or with salt, or someone told me the other day, like vinegar, and you literally have a whole sandwich and the filling are French fries. I mean, does it get better than that? No, it does not.
Heart attack.
Another thing they tend to pair fries with here that I've noticed is they will have pizza and fries as one meal. Pizza and chips, they would call it. That's not really a combo that we do in the US. We would maybe have, like maybe you would have pizza and garlic bread, so we do get like the double carbs in there, but pizza and fries would just just seen as like a weird combination.
It might be good though. A little extra salt, you know? French fries are really just salt fat delivery, right? Like, pizza and French fries, wow.
But it's the best combination because what could possibly be better than eating an entire meal of pizza and fries? So I feel like the US should really get on board with this. I'm not saying people don't do it. I'm just saying it's definitely not a popular combination.
Yeah, it seems very American, you know? It seems like the kind of thing we would do. As much salt, fat, and sugar as we can ram into our faces, we'll do it.
People automatically go to, and I really feel like this is one of the best things the UK has done for the world. Okay, the next thing that is much better in the UK than in the US is public transportation, or what they would call public transport for short. You can get around almost the whole of the UK by trains, boats, buses. You don't have to have a car. Obviously, in the more rural areas, it is definitely like much more convenient to have a car. Tons of people drive and not just rely on public transportation. But the point remains that if you lived in a lot of places in the States and you didn't have a car, you would have almost no options. Here in the UK, you can live in a lot of places without a car. And I'm not just talking about London. I'm not just talking about cities. You could live in a more suburban area and have plenty of buses that are going to connect you to your town and
That's
to
nice.
surrounding towns that are relatively, on time, on a good schedule. In the US, I'm used to bus transportation. Where I'm from in Florida, basically non-existent, and if it is existent, it's just not something that people take. It's not necessarily reliable. Here, public transportation is often used, is popular, is reliable, and obviously it's easier to link a smaller country than all of America. But, it is what it is, and the UK wins for that one.
Yeah, I would agree. I love public transportation. I take the subway all the time. I try not to drive. Driving in Los Angeles turns me into a psychopath. So I try not to do it. I don't want to commit murder, so I walk. Take the subway. I don't take the bus, though. I've taken the bus a few times, and it was scary.
The next thing that's better in the UK than in the US is the type of roofs that they have on their homes. Only because in the US, we are used to needing to replace our roof like every 10 to 15 years, I think it is.
Yeah,
particularly the area where I'm from in Florida, this is a common way to do roofs. In the UK, you don't necessarily think about replacing your roof.
Why not?
No one's ever brought that up in the house buying process of this roof will need to be replaced or anything like that. So I'm not entirely sure
just built better?
the differences between the roofs. I know here they have much thicker blocks that they use on the roof, whereas in the US we kind of use these flimsy roof tiles.
Yeah.
It could also be they're not exposed to, the same amount of extreme weather as in the US. I know in Florida we have to contend with hurricanes and the heat and things like that. It's a bit more mild here in the UK, so maybe that plays into it. But overall, your roof is not going to be a huge expense that you have to shell out for as soon as you buy your house, and you don't really have to factor that into your budget. So it's a very specific thing, but it is something that's better here in the UK. Okay.
Yeah, I have heard that compared to the UK, American homes are pretty shoddily built. A lot of cheap materials, and I imagine in the UK it's not that way. They might have stricter regulations for roofs. How are UK and USA roofs different? While UK roofers use mostly slates or occasionally clay tiles to cover roofs, U.S. roofers will use shingles. It's important to note that shingles are not just the American word for slates. Shingles are actually an entirely different material. U.S. shingles are made from pieces of felt with bitumen or asphalt over the top of the felt. Yes. Shingles are expected to last up to 20 years if there's no extreme weather events. But there are. Everywhere in the U.S. Tiles and slates are expected to last 100 years or more. What are we doing? My fellow Americans, let's go for the 100-year roofs. What are we doing? Grandma, Grandpa, you're f***ing me with the shingles. Grandma, Grandpa. You know what? It's probably the roofing industry. It's planned obsolescence. They don't want to give us a 100-year roof. They don't want to give us a 100-year wall. They don't want to give us a 100-year floor. They want to give us just enough to make it look nice and expensive. But maybe that keeps the roofing industry going, Maybe it's good for the economy. Okay, I give this to the UK. 100 years. 100 years. That's a good roof. Way to go, Brits.
Okay, the next thing that's better in the UK is work-life balance. So in America, we definitely have a go-getter culture, which I do like in some ways, but when it comes to the work-life balance, it's not good whatsoever.
I hate the go-getter.
We don't have federal required vacation time or holiday time, as they would say here in the UK. Lots of companies will have an allocated number of sick days, and after you reach the end of your sick days, then you have
2
to
or
start
3
using your vacation time, or you basically don't get
1 week a year.
Here in the UK, most companies, if you're sick, you're sick. Obviously, if it's an ongoing problem, they'll work with you, but you're not freaking out that you're going to use up all of your time. In fact, there is a rule, I believe, that if you are on holiday, if you're using holiday time and you get sick or ill, as they say here, because getting sick in the UK is like throwing up, but Americans say getting sick to mean getting ill. If you get ill during vacation time or holiday time, I'm pretty sure you can like claim back part of those holiday days and use your sick day and just take it as a sick day.
That seems so fair. That would never go over well here. Y'all, even when you have vacation days, holiday time that you're allowed to use, if you go to your manager and say, hey, I want to take time off to do this, blah, 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 you get grief. Your manager's going to be like, oh, well, I got, like, you can't take off then. You got to, like, because we're doing this other thing. Like, it's not fair. I saw in another video, I think Brits get like 5.6 weeks of vacation time per year. This video is making me sad, y'all.
But in general, there's not this hustle culture of you need to, you know, like dedicate your entire life to your job. I think people here recognize that there is more to life than work. And I mean, obviously the cultures play into it and what we prioritize and what we see as important in life and important qualities to have as a person. But definitely in the UK, you're not always worried that you're going to lose your job because of something stupid. It's pretty difficult to actually fire somebody here after they've worked here for a long time, and you just have a better work-life balance overall in many areas.
That's nice. I do think in the US, ever since the pandemic, I feel like there's a trend towards a better work-life balance. I think the Gen Z are not putting up with the hustle culture. They're quiet quitting. They're saying, no, I'm just not going to do that if they don't feel like doing it. And I respect that, especially with some tech jobs. The whole idea of the tech Silicon Valley thing is hustle, 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 work 16 hours a day, sleep for 4 hours, get back to it. So I feel a sea change. I definitely will still give this one to the UK. I agree with her, but I'm hoping it's changing, y'all. I'm hoping.
And the last difference I came up with, again, might seem more trivial, but it has to do with a UK plug. So a UK plug, right. 1 minute, I will show you.
Yes.
If you're an American,
it's so much better.
This is what a UK plug looks
safer.
like. So it actually has this third bit. So if you can kind of see 1, 2, and 3. A US plug only has 2.
Some of them have 3. Come on, some of them have 3. Some of them have 3.
The official term.
Give it to us.
So plugs here tend to stay in the wall a lot better than in the US, where
there's a switch on the plug
for them falling out if they're pretty loose or get knocked by something. A UK plug is like not falling out of whatever it's plugged into. And again, it's a small thing, but something that I have noticed and I do think is better in the UK than in the US.
Yeah, the plugs, y'all. The UK plugs are so much better. I reacted to a video about it. They're safer. There's a switch on the plug. So if you have like appliances that will just have one little light on, you have to unplug it so it's not sucking energy out the whole time. But in the UK, you just flip that switch off. Also, the fuse for the plug is in the plug in the UK. In America, the fuse for the plug is in a fuse box, like far away from the plug. UK is just a better design. Thanks, Grandma, Grandpa. You're f***ing us again, motherfucker.
Okay, so that brings me to the end of my video. Definitely comment below and let me know your favorite part about the UK. I know not everyone will have other countries to compare with, so just tell me, what is it that you love the most about the UK, whether it is whether you are British or whether you are just a visitor. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Great. This was a good video. Oh, look at her little graphic. Red telephone booth. I've heard those smell like pee now, to not go in them. I agree with all these. I don't see the French fry thing. I don't know. I don't usually let myself have French fries because it's like the least healthy thing you can put in your body, but they're so good. It might be my favorite food. What do I like more than French fries? Ice cream, maybe? And it is surprising that the United States isn't more French fry centric like this. It seems like a very American thing to shove french fries into a sandwich. There are, every once in a while, you'll see a sandwich with some french fries on it, but it's like a novelty thing. It's like the french fries are just one other ingredient on the sandwich. But in the UK, they have a straight up french fry sandwich. Roofing. Yo, I'm surprised about the roofs. That's one I've never heard. And the work-life balance. Yeah. Yo, I was in that rat race when I lived in New York. My commute was 90 minutes. If I got off work really late, like midnight or something, it would take me 3 hours to get home. I don't think I could do that now. I don't think I would do that now. I don't think anyone should do that now. It's ridiculous. Like, just because you're like ambitious and you're like, young person, I'm doing it, I'm working hard. It's unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Work smarter, not harder, right? It rhymes, so it must be true. Well, I know most of my viewers are in the UK, something like 98%. So, congratulations to y'all. You won. You're doing it better. Your grandma and grandpa were more considerate of you than my grandma and grandpa were of me. Well, thank y'all for watching this with me. I hope you're doing well. Take control of your own destiny. And if you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. Give me a like and subscribe. Help me out. Well, thank y'all. I'd like to thank my patrons. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Later.